25 Psychology Facts About Human Behavior. Ever wondered why you do the things you do? Psychology offers fascinating insights into the human mind. Get ready to have your perception of yourself and others challenged with these 25 mind-blowing psychology facts. First, priming is a psychological phenomenon in which exposure to one stimulus influences a response to a subsequent stimulus. Think of it as your brain setting the stage for future thoughts and actions. It subtly shapes your perceptions without you even realizing it. For example, if you read words related to old age, you might unconsciously walk slower afterward. This shows how easily our behavior can be influenced by subtle cues in our environment. It's a powerful reminder of the brain's suggestibility. Second is the illusion of control. We often overestimate the degree to which we control events. We like to believe we're in charge, even when chance plays a significant role. Think about gambling. People often feel they have more control over the outcome if they choose their own lottery numbers. This illusion can lead to risky behaviors and a false sense of security. Third, the bystander effect describes the phenomenon where individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when other people are present. The more bystanders, the less likely anyone is to intervene. It's a chilling example of diffusion of responsibility. Each person assumes someone else will take action. This can have tragic consequences in emergency situations. Understanding this effect can encourage us to overcome our hesitation and offer help when needed. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort experienced when holding conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. We strive for consistency in our thoughts and actions, and when inconsistency arises, we feel uneasy. To reduce this discomfort, we often change our beliefs to align with our actions. For example, someone who smokes despite knowing the health risks might rationalize their behavior by downplaying the dangers. The placebo effect demonstrates the power of belief. A placebo is an inert substance or treatment that can produce a real physiological or psychological effect. This happens simply because the person believes it will work. It highlights the mind-body connection and the impact of expectations on our health. The placebo effect is widely studied in medical research to understand the true efficacy of treatments. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information that confirms or supports one's prior beliefs or values. We naturally gravitate towards information that validates our existing worldview. This can lead to biased decision-making and reinforce existing prejudices. Actively seeking out diverse perspectives is crucial to combat confirmation bias. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. They lack the self-awareness to recognize their own incompetence. It's a humbling reminder of the importance of self-reflection. Conversely, highly competent individuals often underestimate their abilities. They assume that others find the task just as easy. Loss aversion is the tendency to feel the pain of a loss more strongly than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. The fear of losing something is a powerful motivator. This bias influences our financial decisions and risk-taking behavior. We often make irrational choices to avoid potential losses, even if those choices are not in our best interest. Understanding loss aversion can help us make more rational decisions. The halo effect is a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. A positive initial impression can create a halo that colors our perception of their other qualities. This can lead us to overlook flaws or make inaccurate judgments. The halo effect highlights the importance of forming objective opinions based on evidence. The Zeigarnik effect states that people remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than completed tasks. The unfinished task creates a cognitive tension that keeps it active in our minds. This effect can be used to improve productivity. By breaking down large tasks into smaller, manageable steps, we can leverage the Zeigarnik effect to stay motivated and focused. The Pygmalion effect is a psychological phenomenon where high expectations lead to an increase in performance. When we believe in someone's potential, they are more likely to succeed. This effect has significant implications for education and leadership. Positive expectations can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The foot in the door technique is a persuasion strategy that involves getting someone to agree to a small request first, in order to increase the likelihood that they will agree to a larger request later. This technique works because agreeing to the initial request creates a sense of commitment. People are more likely to be consistent with their previous behavior. The mere exposure effect is a psychological phenomenon by which people tend to develop a preference for things merely because they are familiar with them. Repeated exposure to a stimulus, even without conscious awareness, can increase liking. This effect explains why we often prefer familiar brands and products. It also plays a role in developing relationships. The availability heuristic is a mental shortcut that relies on immediate examples that come to a person's mind when evaluating a specific topic, concept, method, or decision. We overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled. This can lead to biased judgments and inaccurate risk assessments. The availability heuristic highlights the importance of relying on data and evidence rather than relying solely on readily available information. The anchoring effect is a cognitive bias that describes the common human tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered, the anchor, when making decisions. This initial anchor can significantly influence subsequent judgments, even if it is irrelevant. Being aware of the anchoring effect can help us make more rational decisions. The spotlight effect is the phenomenon in which people tend to believe they are being noticed more than they really are. We overestimate the extent to which others are paying attention to our appearance and behavior. This can lead to unnecessary anxiety and self-consciousness. Remembering that others are often preoccupied with their own thoughts can help us relax and be more authentic. The just world hypothesis is the belief that the world is fair and that people get what they deserve. This belief can lead to blaming victims for their misfortunes. It's important to recognize that bad things can happen to good people. Acknowledging the role of chance and circumstance can foster empathy and compassion. The Barnum effect is a psychological phenomenon where individuals give high accuracy ratings to descriptions of their personality that supposedly are tailored specifically for them, but are in fact vague and general enough to apply to a wide range of people. This effect explains the popularity of horoscopes and personality quizzes. Critical thinking is essential to avoid being misled by generalized statements. The representativeness heuristic is a mental shortcut used to make judgments about the probability of an event under uncertainty. It involves assessing the similarity of objects and organizing them based on the category prototype. This can lead to inaccurate judgments when we ignore base rates and other relevant information. The sunk cost fallacy is the tendency to continue investing in a losing project or endeavor because of the resources already invested. We feel compelled to continue because we don't want to waste what we've already put in. This can lead to further losses and poor decision-making. It's important to cut our losses and move on when a project is no longer viable. Reactance is a motivational reaction to offers, persons, rules, or regulations that threaten or eliminate specific behavioral freedoms. Reactance occurs when a person feels that someone or something is taking away their choices or limiting their range of alternatives. This can lead to defiance and resistance. Understanding reactance can help us communicate more effectively and avoid triggering negative reactions. Social proof is a psychological phenomenon where people assume the actions of others reflect correct behavior for a given situation. We look to others for cues on how to behave, especially in ambiguous situations. This can be a powerful influence on our decisions and behaviors. It's important to critically evaluate the actions of others and make our own informed choices. Groupthink is a psychological phenomenon that occurs within a group of people in which the desire for harmony or conformity in the group results in an irrational or dysfunctional decision-making outcome. This can lead to poor decisions and a lack of critical thinking. Encouraging dissent and diverse perspectives can help prevent groupthink. Learned helplessness is a condition in which a person suffers from a sense of powerlessness, arising from a traumatic event or persistent failure to succeed. It is thought to be one of the underlying causes of depression. Overcoming learned helplessness requires challenging negative beliefs and developing a sense of self-efficacy. The curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias that occurs when an individual, communicating with other individuals, unknowingly assumes that the others have the background to understand. This can lead to communication breakdowns and misunderstandings. It's important to be mindful of our audience and tailor our communication accordingly. These 25 psychology facts are just the tip of the iceberg. The human mind is a complex and fascinating subject. Now it's your turn to dive deeper. Subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing psychology facts. Leave a comment below sharing which facts surprised you the most.